As we make these first forays into the world of virtual learning, many of you may not have actually tried learning online or learned by distance learning before, and so I wanted to take a quick moment here and really talk through some of the things that you need to be aware of going into this style of learning. First of all, some pros of virtual learning. You can work from anywhere. You can work on your own schedule. You can work at your own pace. You can individualize your learning. In other words, you have tons and tons of freedom. That's great. So what are the cons? The exact same things. Because if we have so much freedom, we can very easily find that we don't keep ourselves disciplined and we don't actually get the stuff done. So I want to help you to actually be successful in this sort of a learning environment. So a few tips to share with you. First of all, discipline is key. Make a schedule for yourself and then hold yourself to it. My basic way of being able to figure out how to do virtual learning and be successful in it was to do what I had to do first, and then I would allow myself to go do what I wanted to do. So if I started the morning by picking up a video game controller, I was done for the day. I was then no longer going to be effective. But if I started by doing the work that I had on hand and getting all that stuff knocked out, then I could go and do whatever I wanted the rest of the day. And that is true for the vast majority of us. So do what you have to do first, and then you can go play, and it's going to help you out a lot to actually get all your work done. Also, next, use your good student skills. In other words, you already know what it takes to be a good student. Some of us practice it better than others, but certainly we know what those things are that make for someone to be a good student. Like whenever I'm teaching a lesson, I always say, do the problems before me, and I give time to work it out, and then I work through it. If you just sit there and watch me do it, you aren't going to get nearly as much. Try everything first, and then you can go and actually learn much more from it. The other thing is taking notes. We often talk about taking notes, and some people like it, some people don't. But basically, notes is just a way of keeping a record of anything that you need to be able to look back at later. In math, that often means a lot of formulas and things like that you're going to need to be able to look back at in case you forget them. There's also little rules and things like that. And keep in mind that notes are not always things that are labeled as notes. Notes are anything that you want to remember, so it might just be something that I say in passing that you wanted to be able to remember for future because this was like a light in your head going off that, okay, I need to remember that piece. Write those down as part of your notes. Now, the great thing is about virtual learning is that many of the lessons are not live, and when they're not live, going back and writing things down that maybe you missed or you just want to go back and see something again, that's all possible because I'm not live. I'm on a recording. You can pause me. You can rewind it. You can even skip over the stuff that you think you already got, although be very careful when skipping. You better be very confident that you get how it all works because odds are there's probably some little nuance in there that, well, this problem was given for a reason. We need to make sure that we see how to deal with this type of a situation. And so make sure that you're being very sure if you're skipping and realize that you might have to come back and watch that part again if you encounter problems later because it might well have been addressed in that part that you tried to skip. All right, next up, use your resources. For video lessons, you can rewatch the lessons. Go back, see the parts that are giving you trouble again. Most learning doesn't actually happen the very first time you see something. And so use this format to your advantage with that of being able to go back and see something again. Also, of course, you can always look stuff up on Google or wherever on the web, being able to find answers to questions that you might be running into. And of course, your teachers will also be available. Many of us will be hosting office hours. But look for ways that we can get those questions answered efficiently. Realize that email is often not the best way to be able to figure out those types of questions. But we are going to be figuring out ways to communicate these things to you. And then also react to lulls. We can know that you're going to have lulls come up. So look for ways to kind of combat those lulls. So one way that you could do that is get some face-to-face time. That could be like going and saying hi to family that's in the house. That could be FaceTiming with some friends. That could even be saying, okay, this is a good time for me to go and video chat with my teacher and get some questions that I had over here answered because it's going to shake things up a little bit. And that activates different parts of your brains and helps to kind of wake us up a little bit. Another way to kind of react to a lull, because they are inevitable, is to go get some exercise or some fresh air. Sometimes exercise might mean you just get out of your chair and you do 10 push-ups. Other times, It might mean that you go out for a run or you step out on your porch and just take a deep breath of fresh air, whatever it is that you got to do. But those little things are going to help you to kind of react to those lulls that happen. And if you know that it's going to happen ahead of time, you're going to know how to combat it ahead of time as well and be ready for it. A couple cautions I'll give you, though, because we are now working with video here. If you do send in a video, either to record it or if we're video chatting, realize that others can see you and your space. Not just me, but other students also might be able to see you and your space. So make sure that both are presentable. You want to make sure that nobody's going, what's up with that behind you? Things like that. Video conversations may be recorded. So like if we are doing a video conversation here and I'm helping you with, let's say, a math assignment, I'm probably just recording that just so that if there's something weird, if somebody says, well, this was something weird about that particular interaction or something like that, I can always go back and I can say, well, here's the recording of it. It also means that I might be able to say, hey, somebody else had that exact same question. Let me share what I did with them. And so the conversations may be recorded, and just realize that is part of the deal. And of course, school rules and expectations will still apply. So if it would be okay at school, it should be okay at home. Basically, what we're trying to do is we want a professional learning environment. So we are going to be professional towards you. We want you to be professional towards us. That's what all the school rules are all about anyway. This is just saying that we are continuing that same thing even in this virtual learning format. So finally, I hope that you'll treat this as an opportunity, because it really is a great opportunity to be able to learn in some different ways. And as we go, communicate with us, please, what you think is working well and what you think could be improved, because we're kind of learning as well at the same time that you're learning. We're just learning how to teach in this particular format. And so if there's anything you think we could do better, let us know, because that way we can continue to improve our instruction and improve our craft throughout this whole process here.